Hello everyone and welcome back to Alternative Apex. We are here in Baku for round 6 of the 2022 Formula 1 season, here for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Today the drivers will be racing around the often quite chaotic Baku City circuit, a track which in recent years has produced some quite crazy races compared to some of the other circuits on the Formula 1 calendar. However, equally it has sometimes produced some less entertaining races, with the close walls here meaning that quite often there'll be a crash or two, bringing out a safety car, which often, in most races and on most circuits, will add some spice into the race. But of course, there's the chance that the drivers will keep it nice and clean, so we'll have to wait and see what happens in today's race. Now it is time to look at the starting grid. On pole position, it is championship leader Carlos Sainz, with a strong lap in qualifying ahead of his teammate Charles Leclerc as Ferrari continue to show their speed as they lock up the front row. Then down the rest of the grid we have Verstappen and then Lewis Hamilton, with George Russell and Kevin Magnussen behind them. Then there is Nico Hülkenberg and Pascal Wehrlein who lock out the fourth row for Porsche, with Sergio Perez having a poor qualifying down the ninth ahead of Guan Yu Zhou. Then there's Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, Mick Schumacher, Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas, Lando Norris, Sebastian Vettel, Nicholas Latifi, and then just as we get to the back end of the top 20, Fernando Alonso, Daniel Ricciardo, and just outside the top 20 we have Alexander Albon and Lance Stroll, who bring up the back end of the grid. Now it is time to go down to the actual grid as all the drivers prepare for today's race. We can see the Aston Martin safety car. Hopefully we don't see it today, but of course being Baku, it is very possible that we do see its involvement in today's race. As we see behind the Aston Martin safety car, the two Ferraris who again lock out the front row, really showing that they've got some amazing pace so far this season, and are just proving that they look the better package than the Red Bull and Mercedes cars. As we now see the drivers take to the formation lap there. Mercedes with a pretty strong qualifying there, 4th and 5th for them. Perez really letting Red Bull down, arguably down in 9th position on the grid. Everyone starting on the medium tyres for today's event, so not too much strategy variance there. Expected it to be a one-stop race, mediums to hard tyres, so don't expect too much of a difference being made in the pit stops, but of course maybe we'll see someone go a lap or two longer or pit a lap or two earlier, just to try and gain some track position for today's event. But at the moment, it's looking like it could be fairly simple on the strategy front, but we know anything can change in the pit stops here as the drivers begin to line up on the starting grid, as they will slide into their grid spots and make sure they hit their markers for the race to just make sure they get any small advantage they can find. Because of course in Formula 1, when it's as close as it is, every little tiny millimetre matters a huge amount. The lights are coming on now, and the drivers are ready to race. We are racing in Baku. It's a good start there from the pole sitter of Carlos Sainz. Immediately under pressure there, that's Verstappen pressuring Charles Leclerc for second place in this race. Immediately the Ferrari having to defend, but looks like the Red Bull has the exit from turn 1, is going to have the position ahead going into turn 2. Great little move there from Verstappen, a great start for the Dutchman. So he gets crucially ahead of the Ferrari. You see the field making their way through the first couple of corners. All looks clean so far as Perez has held position off the start, although he has lost position to Guan Yu, but has gained a place on Wehrlein there as well. There's all this side-by-side racing in the background as well. That's a Porsche of Wehrlein battling Tsunoda, I believe. But up front, Carlos Sainz holds the lead off the start and looks like he is getting away out at the front of the field. Further down the order, we have Tsunoda battling with Wehrlein here. Looks like the AlphaTauri driver wants to try and improve his position up into the top 10 here as they're side-by-side through turn 1. But pushed a little bit wide there goes the Japanese driver. Now under pressure from his teammate Pierre Gasly, who's going to look for the move down the inside of turn 2. Doesn't quite go for it though, decides to stay behind here. But then we've got Mick Schumacher, who's going to try and make this one work now as they make their way down towards turn 3. Another relatively long straight around this circuit. Lots of opportunities to slipstream past your rival. So let's see what happens now. Is they're onto the brakes into turn 3, and was Gasly there nearly looking at the inside of his teammate. Has to back out of it. That may well compromise him into the next corner. As a bit of a slide there on exit though, as that is Schumacher, who is going to lose some ground on the exit of the corner. Just slid the rears a little bit too much, and that allows Gasly to hold on to his position as Schumacher stays in 13th place. Now we go to Charles Leclerc, trying to make some positions up after that poor start. Now battling for second place here. He's in the slipstream of the Red Bull. The Red Bull has not been a competitive car for a few races now. It's been very clearly second best. And now he's going to come under pressure from the Ferrari. Charles Leclerc will take second place away from Max Verstappen. And that's a strong move there from the Ferrari, who looks to try and cut further into his teammate's championship lead, because I believe if he wins today, he may well even take the lead of the Drivers' Championship, as the other Red Bull there of Sergio Perez is battling away with Zhou Guanyu as they make their way down towards turn 3. The Alfa Romeo really putting up a strong fight here today. Alfa Romeo have put a lot of development into that car, and it is starting to show as they are becoming more consistently points contenders, as Zhou is now racing with the Red Bull driver rule. I imagine Perez will be looking to get past that Alfa Romeo very quickly, because that Red Bull definitely has more pace than the Alfa Romeo, at least at the moment, as we now see him in the slipstream going down towards turn 1. Red Bull there with the top speed advantage. Can he make the move to turn 1? Yes, he will, nice and easily on the brakes. Zhou going to look to try and fight back, but not going to be able to do it on this occasion. Maybe fight back down into turn 3. So he's going to follow the Red Bull here as we see Tsunoda, and then Wehrlein behind. Wehrlein going a little bit deep there. The Porsche not looking like the best of the rest at the moment. The Haas car probably looking like the best of the rest in this race so far. Hulkenberg up in 7th, but his teammate now having to defend from the AlphaTauri of Gasly, and does successfully defend in turn 3. And now going to have to be looking at the back of Tsunoda again to try and get some positions up the road and try and get back into the points, but it doesn't look like that's the way that Wehrlein will be moving in this race. He's now under pressure once more from Pierre Gasly, despite the DRS in the back of the Porsche. It's going to allow Gasly to sweep past, or maybe not, as he's on the inside of turn 1. So they get squeezed and can't make the move stickers. Schumacher again is going to try and use this as an opportunity to make some moves of his own. Going to go look to the outside there now. That should give him a chance to make the move down to turn 3 there. Gasly was forced to go a little bit defensive, which will mean he tied a line on exit, meaning that he will not get as good an exit as Schumacher. As that's Ocon also getting involved here. It's going to be 3 wide going down into turn 3. Let's see who's going to come out on top on this occasion. It is Gasly, who looks like he's going to hold on. Ocon, though, is going to get up ahead of Schumacher there, so Schumacher goes from attacking to losing a place there. And will drop down to 14th place now, as these guys drop back a little bit from the back end of the points-paying positions. Now we have Yuki Tsunoda battling with Zhou Guanyu, making their way towards turn 1. Lots of overtakes will be happening down this very long straight here at Spa. Just, as I said, a very long straight. Insanely long, one of the longest in Formula 1, so now they go side by side into turn 1. It is Alfa Romeo versus AlphaTauri. 2 Alphas battling away here. As into turn 2 they go. It is Zhou on the inside. Tsunoda trying to hold it around the outside there now. Who is going to have the DRS in the run down to turn 3? Will either of them have the DRS? It looks like it is Zhou who gets the DRS here, as Wehrlein's in the battle as well. He looks like he's going to stay behind, though. He's going to look to the inside, but can't quite make anything happen there around here. You can't take too many risks around this circuit, because the walls are there to take you if you do make any small mistake. As there we see now around the outside goes Wehrlein. He does still manage to capitalise on this battle as he gets up into 10th position ahead of the Chinese driver of Zhou Guanyu, who drops down into 11th place and now will be defending from Pierre Gasly, who is already looking like he's on the attack as Zhou is just dropping back in this race. We said earlier the Alfa Romeo looking like a pretty quick car. It's not looking like it's got the pace at the moment in this race. Zhou at least struggling just to find the speed, as he now falls under pressure from Pierre Gasly, who's going to go down the inside of turn 2. Up into 11th place goes the Frenchman now. Let's see, can he keep this move going? They'll find their way down the long straight towards turn 3. So many straights here, just giving these drivers the chance to battle quite hard here. As now he is ahead of Zhou Guanyu, and that will allow Gasly to get up onto the back of Wehrlein and then his teammate now. But we look up at the front on lap 11 of this race. Charles Leclerc has cut into his teammate's lead. Now, what will he do now? He's in the slipstream, he's got the DRS, but that's going to be a pit stop now for Charles Leclerc. He's not going to try and take the lead on track here. He's going to try and do what he did in Bahrain. He's going to try and take this win in the pit lane, as he brings his Ferrari down pit lane now. Just going to have to hope that he doesn't get any traffic and that the tyres get up to temperature nice and quickly so that he can undercut his Ferrari teammate now as he makes his way out of the pits. Nice quick stop there as we also see Verstappen coming in. Leclerc exits now. Where will he be relative to some of the others? The car ahead of him will be Sergio Perez and Nico Hulkenberg, but he's got a 2-second gap ahead there, so he shouldn't catch them on this lap. As now we see coming in to the pit lane is Carlos Sainz. Let's see, will this in-lap be enough to maintain the lead in this race, or is his teammate going to take it away from him again and maybe even take away the championship lead today? Is now into the pits. Looks a little bit slower perhaps there from Carlos Sainz in the pit stop, as now he exits the pit lane, and it's not been enough. The in-lap's not been enough for Carlos Sainz. Charles Leclerc has taken the lead from his teammate. The undercut has paid off there for the Ferrari driver. He is up into first place in this race now, and Carlos Sainz again finds himself behind his teammate in yet another race. Now we look down to the battle for the back end of the points here. Wehrlein versus Tsunoda battling over 9th place in this race now. The AlphaTauri battling the Porsche as they make their way down towards turn 1. and it just looks like the Porsche can't put that much of a fight, up again. As Wehrlein this season has had plenty of reliability issues, and hopefully it's not more issues for the German driver there, as he just needs to have a clean weekend. Really, he's falling behind his teammate quite a bit in the championship, so he just needs to have a clean weekend and he can probably score some points here. Now we see some more racing here. Zhou Guanyu again under pressure from another driver. There must be something wrong with his Alfa Romeo here. That's all straight on in turn 1. Ocon misses the apex. Going to go very wide. They're not slightly wide, very wide. As now he's under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo. And down the inside there goes, I believe that's Mick Schumacher trying to make the move as well. So lots of racing here. Sorry, it's Norris that went down the inside. Now it's Ocon versus Schumacher. Let's see what's going to happen as going to turn 3. It looks like they will settle down eventually now. As we look back up to further up the field, battle for 6th place here. Sergio Perez, after having a poor qualifying session, looking to recover now. He's battling with the Haas of Kevin Magnussen, who is putting in a very strong drive here for the Haas team. Was running up in 6th now, as Perez is going to try and take that position away, and successfully will take that position away from the Dane. As now out of turn 2 they go. Perez up into 6th position now in the race. Looking strong for Red Bull, as he just tries to maximise what is possible in a car that has been struggling so far this season. Behind the Mercedes here is Lewis Hamilton. Oh, is he going slowly? He is! The Mercedes of Hamilton is going slowly. That's going to be another position for Perez now, as the engine, there's the smoke coming out the back of it. And more reliability issues for Mercedes. That is just very uncharacteristic of the Mercedes team, as now they will drop down Lewis Hamilton out of the points. Russell up in 4th, probably hoping that he doesn't have a similar issues, as now it's going to promote everyone in the order up a position, which puts Wehrlein back up into the point-paying positions, battling with Pierre Gasly here, as Bottas may even get involved in this battle, as now Gasly with an easy overtake up into 9th place there. Again, you can just see that Porsche didn't look like quite had the top speed there, which is not an issue we've seen Hülkenberg having, so maybe as reliability issues is very close to hitting the wall there out of turn 1. As again, we're going to see more battles further down the order now, as that is Bottas now looking to try and take a point-paying position away from Wehrlein, going down towards turn 1. He's going to have the inside line here. Can he make this move? Down the inside, later on the brakes, can he pull it off? They're going to be side by side through turn 1. Wehrlein risking it all there on the outside, wants to try and get this World Championship point for the Porsche team, as now into turn 2 they go. Bottas trying to challenge, but doesn't look like he can quite make anything happen here. Looks like he's got the pace, but now he's going to have to defend from Daniel Ricciardo and McLaren. Looks like he might be trying to get involved here, as Bottas is going to look to the inside of Wehrlein. Wehrlein leaves room there, but he gets the better exit there. Bottas stuck on the inside line, can't quite get the grip that he would want, as now they go through turn 4. Ricciardo trying to make this move stick, they're side by side still, and Bottas holds on to make their way into the tight and twisty middle sector here in Baku. As now, the next lap, we're going to see battling once more, Bottas versus Wehrlein down the main straight. Let's see, can he make the move on this occasion? And it looks like he's going to get the move much earlier down the straight. DRS wasn't even enabled when he got first side by side with the Porsche there. So Bottas clearly ahead. Oh, but a massive send. Huge send there from Wehrlein, who barely gets the car stopped for the corner. And that is going to allow Bottas to switch back easily on him, as now the McLaren of Ricciardo is getting involved. Desperation here on the final lap of the race. Wehrlein doing all he can to try and stay in the fight here with Bottas, but again, reliability issues mean that he doesn't have the pace of his teammate, and he's got the DRS on Bottas, but he's not going to be close enough to make anything happen here. Into turn 3 is now the way through the tight and twisty section, and can he do anything to try and get that position back? But up at the front, it has been Charles Leclerc who took the lead in the pit stop, and he did not look back. His teammate just couldn't quite get back within DRS. It's going to be Charles Leclerc who wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix for Ferrari. Yet another victory, and yet another 1-2 for the Italian team. Verstappen will take 3rd place here. Again, just maximising what he has in that Red Bull as they continue to have some issues on the pace front. As Mercedes take 4th place with George Russell there. He managed to make it to the end of the race, which I think at this point of the season, Mercedes is all they can ask. As Sergio Perez takes 5th place, a strong recovery drive there from the Mexican, as Kevin Magnussen will be best of the rest there. Almost 2 seconds ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, who did put in a strong drive there to reel in the Haas a little bit. But in the end, only 7th place for Hülkenberg, but still more points for the Porsche team. As then we look further down the order, it is Tsunoda and Gasly in 8th and 9th, who are going to be trying to get a double points finish for AlphaTauri, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do there. So AlphaTauri getting double points here, Tsunoda ahead of Gasly, and Bottas will take the final points paying position for Alfa Romeo, as Wehrlein just did not have the pace at the finish there. So some pretty entertaining battles in today's event, as now we see the Ferrari team celebrating their victory, as again Leclerc just expressing his speed on the racetrack and looking like he's going to be a tough driver to beat, as he just continues to just show how dominant he can be when his car finishes the race. And again, once these reliabilities, which appear to have, I don't want to jinx anything, but they appear to have passed now for Ferrari. At least any sort of urgent issues, like when they had the the consecutive DNFs for Leclerc earlier in the season. It does seem now that if that is indeed behind them, like it does appear to be, Leclerc is going to be tough to beat. Because Sainz, it looks like he has the pace in qualifying, and it looks like he has the pace in the race, but the strategy just doesn't seem to be on his side so far this season, as a couple times you've seen him lose the lead in the pit stops, and now, second place again today. Disappointing day for the Spaniard, but still not too bad, second place, 18 points in the bag, could be worse. I think it may even be 19 points if he did get fast lap at the end there. I believe he was pushing for it, but still loses points for his teammate, which is, of course, never what you want when you're fighting for a championship there. So Leclerc wins here ahead of Carlos Sainz, and Verstappen completes the podium. It's probably going to be feeling a bit like 2020 for him at the moment. Just all he can hope for is to get on the podium. That's the best the car can do. Just doesn't look like they have the pace to take the fight to the Ferraris at this point in the season. And I think their focus has got to be just staying ahead of Mercedes, because Mercedes is getting quite close to them on pace here, as we now look to the results for today's race. So it is indeed Charles Leclerc who takes the win here ahead of Carlos Sainz, a Ferrari 1-2, and Sainz does get the fastest lap, only a second off his teammate there, but just narrowly missing out on DRS. Maybe if he'd got that, he could have taken the fight to Leclerc in that race. Verstappen takes third ahead of George Russell, Sergio Perez rounding out the top 5 there for Red Bull Racing. Then it is Kevin Magnussen in 6th place, best of the rest for Haas, with Nico Hülkenberg in 7th there. More points for Porsche, started where he finished. So a strong drive there for the German driver ahead of Tsunoda and Gasly. The Red Bull Junior team looking perhaps compared to their rivals more competitive than Red Bull are compared to their rivals at the moment this season. So a strong drive there from Tsunoda as he again beats his teammate Pierre Gasly. As Bottas does take the final points paying position there ahead of Pascal Wehrlein, who despite starting 8th drops down to 11th and again will miss out on scoring points here today. Now we look over to the driver standings, and Sainz does continue to lead the Drivers' Championship, but Leclerc only 4 points behind now, so that is incredibly close, as Perez still sits third, but only 6 points ahead of his teammates. So with the form that we're seeing between the teammates up at the front within Red Bull and Ferrari at the moment, it is very much looking like we will see Verstappen get ahead of Perez soon, and Leclerc probably get ahead of Sainz soon. But as I said, Sainz and Perez have shown sort of flashes of brilliance and have been able to outperform their teammate on occasion. But it just seems consistently across the season so far, when you take out the reliability issues that we've seen Verstappen and Leclerc face, it does seem like they are the number one drivers within their respective teams. Meanwhile, at Mercedes, Russell and Hamilton seem to be taking it in turns to have the reliability issues and then being number one driver within the team. So it's hard to sort of say what's going on at Mercedes at the moment, as then you have the Alpines 7th and 8th in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, so strongest season for the Alpine team so far, ahead of Valtteri Bottas in 9th, and Kevin Magnussen currently 10th in the Drivers' Championship. Now we look over to the Constructors' Championship standings here. Ferrari continue to lead the way when they grow their lead to 44 points today. Mercedes 131 points, playing they're much closer now to Alpine than they perhaps would want to be, as the French manufacturer is doing very well so far this season. Haas jump up into 5th in the Constructors with a strong result today, jumping ahead of Alfa Romeo, who despite showing again pace with Joe in the early stages and Bottas sort of throughout the race, despite starting down the order, getting up into the point paying positions, they drop a place in the Constructors. Porsche, they're getting close to this fight, so it looks like we could have a three-way fight for that 5th position in the Constructors standings, as Porsche, Alfa Romeo and Haas all looking very close there. AlphaTauri, don't rule them out of it yet, they're only a few points behind Porsche, with McLaren on 8 points so far this season, not the season they would have wanted, but at least they've got points compared to Aston Martin and Williams, two other Mercedes-powered cars, not having the season they would want to be having at the moment. Both not looking too far off the pace, but just consistently not quite able to take the fight to their rivals. But that's it for today's episode here in Alternative Apex. I hope you all enjoyed it very much. I certainly did. Whilst the drama perhaps wasn't there that we've seen earlier in the season, there was still a lot of racing here today and strategy coming into it, perhaps unexpectedly strategy playing a factor in today's race, so I do hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you very much all for watching today's race. If you did enjoy it, please do subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. We'll be going to Canada, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, for hopefully another exciting race. I'm sure it will be that circuit, known for producing some brilliant racing there with that final chicane, perhaps causing some drama as well. So make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed what you saw today, so that you make sure you can see the next video as soon as it is uploaded. But yes, thank you everyone for watching today's race, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.